We have arrived back in France. The last few days have been very eventful again. All wheels and tank parts had been unloaded and reassembled. The repair of defective vehicles is in full swing, and everyone is doing their best to restore full operational readiness. We are well accommodated here and have taken quarters near a small village. Daily, there are situation meetings, and we let the men practice on the vehicles as often as possible, always with one eye on the fuel, which we still have to use sparingly. Today I met Rudolf in the command train, my old comrade in arms from the days of the Eastern campaign. We sit together and discuss how to proceed with him. He brought an eye injury from the Eastern campaign and is not allowed to be used as a gunner anymore. So it is said. Also, he has been training for the last few months and has taught the young comrades how to shoot with a tank cannon. Still, according to medical findings, it is not enough for the gunner's seat. But, despite all the obstacles, I was able to bring him back to the combat troops, because his superior owed me a favor. But he should be used here only as a loader. Everything else will see. I can't take him into our train yet, as we are well equipped with men. But as soon as there is a personal change somewhere, he will get into a tank turret. We talk about the past, about his family in Hamburg, and about the eternal bombing raids. Rudolf tells me that his family lives outside Hamburg, and the area seems not so interesting for the Allies. We are among ourselves, and also talk about things that not everyone should hear. Rudolf has tough and stand away because he has already run away twice with the horses and has, let's say, pressured an officer. Because of his merits, he was always able to get out of the mess. But he will still have a note in his files. I ask openly how he sees the further course of the war. He becomes thoughtful. I don't know him like that. Apparently, he chooses his words carefully, and then tells me that we should soon make separate peace with the English and Americans. Then all forces to Russia. No more enemy flights into the Reich, and we could push back the Ivan. Good that we were among ourselves, and nobody heard that. I want to be careful. Such things should not be said out loud. I have my opinion on this. I believe that we have to strike so hard on all fronts that the enemy retreats again. It's not impossible, but we are trapped in our actions. The army leadership will do the right thing. With the ever stronger weapons that are put into our hands, our enemies can no longer keep up. We talk about comrades we have lost, about good men who only made it home with serious injuries, and when it would go back to the east. I'm glad he's here. A good man. He's doing well in the staff as a replacement, and I've been told that he gives a lot to the younger ones. The days pass, and we still hear about a possible invasion in the meetings. Nevertheless, it is now supposed to go back to the old regiment. So, off to Russia. Now the cat is out of the bag. So that's why we were back in France. Then we were no longer part of the Panzer-Lehr. They should throw the Allies back into the sea, should they set foot on land. There was already the fiasco in Dieppe, and I think it will be nothing again. The order comes, and we are moved. So everything is loaded again, and off to Russia. It takes 2 days until we have everything ready and roll out. Already, new orders are coming in. Wander back and forth. The great invasion has begun. Not as assumed at past the Calais, but in Normandy. We get reports that many bridges and railway lines have been bombed. Roads and telecommunication connections have been sabotaged, and the partisans are active everywhere. Paratroopers have been dropped, and now it's our turn. Trains are being diverted, and we are supposed to follow the already advancing PLD as quickly as possible. The invasion is a few days old when we finally on the road. In several march columns, we are supposed to move forward toward the coast. What madness is this? We are supposed to march during the day so we don't lose any time? I hope our Air Force keeps the airspace clear. Otherwise, it will be tight for us. Everything is made ready to march, in a hurry, and the first wagons start rolling. We are supposed to go from Nujou-Rutru to the area of operation. We've already camouflaged our vehicles as best as we can, so that we can hide in the hedges and forests if necessary. Our anti-aircraft train is being divided and is supposed to provide cover for the individual columns. Well, this could be interesting. We are on the way, and it's not going well. Almost 150 kilometers lie ahead of us. Technical stops are made, and here and there are minor failures. But the motorized area can be on site quickly and support everywhere. We are moving trees because camouflage is everything. Then it started. We were notified by the radio that enemy planes were nearby, and the sky was constantly watched. We were lucky and were not the target of the first attacks, but apparently the enemy planes had reported our vehicles, and then planes struck relentlessly. Attempts were made to shoot down or drive away this pestilence of the air by all means. It worked now and then, but when the planes got through, a few vehicles always fell victim to them. Good men already lost their lives on the way, and important material and fuel were lost. The anti-aircraft train had the handful to drive away these pests, but the bill was paid with blood on both sides. Nevertheless, the low-flying aircraft seemed to have great respect for our quad mounts, and none of them wanted to get into the hail of 2-centimeter projectiles. Many paid for their recklessness with their lives. And when an enemy plane fell from the sky, it felt like the next one attacked even more angrily to avenge their comrades. Only in the forests did we have some peace, but we had to continue. So far we had not made any enemy contact with the ground troops, but not wait much longer. We tried to make our march breaks in forests and well-overgrown areas. The mission did not bother us, but the landings on the coast were a slap in the face. We were always of the opinion that no one would set foot on land here. The reports of the army to the division promised nothing good. Landings on wheel parts were already reported, and Caen was threatened. The Allied troops should actually have been repelled at the beach already. If they managed to settle once, then good night Mary. The division now had the order to come to Caen as quickly as possible with all combat parts and then destroy the advancing enemies. With our Panthers, it should not be a problem. If we would face the American Shermans, the British Crusaders and Cromwells. Now more and more reports came about the companies, that apparently heavy ship artillery was also involved and showered the troops with enormous calibers. Then we finally arrived at the assembly area, and the orders were clearly distributed. Mixed combat groups were formed, because in the confusing area with the high hedges, a fight without grenadiers would not be possible. At least we did not have to move during the day, and set up our area well camouflaged. Now we also had to lick our wounds for the first time. Many vehicles, APCs and gasoline and ammunition vehicles had been pulverized. The loss of troops was considerable. The first attack order was in place. We had the order to advance towards Bayeux in a mixed combat group, but for this we had to go through Tilly. To cover the advance, we were assigned 4 Panthers and 2 Panzer IVs. We rolled out of cover after the scouts had not reported any enemy contact or positions. We were tense. Heat in summery France was almost unbearable in the combat vehicle. On the dry ground, we proceeded quickly. This time, there were no enemy planes in the sky or nearby, nor did we encounter enemy infantry. We reached the hill without incidents and quickly formed a defensive ring, 3 directions. We did not want any surprises. The infantry sought good cover and the APCs stayed on the back slope. From here, one had a good overview and could also have a good effect on the next 1,000 meters. Nevertheless, we were instructed to fire only on command, so that we would not prematurely reveal our positions. We still had the order to radio the regiment only in an emergency, because there was a suspicion that one could be located with long radio messages. But that was more of a suspicion than a fact. The day went by. We only saw a single scout who briefly stuck his nose out of the thicket and then slowly rolled back. He certainly didn't see us. A small farm in the northwest was probably his target. After 20 minutes, it was hit, and the farm was completely destroyed. That's about the ship artillery. The closer we get to the coast, the worse the threat from the guns of the floating units. This could still be something.